Hello, this is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and this is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the library, and I am broadcasting from my home. I am in quarantine with my husband and my two sons. My oldest son is in college, and he's just finishing up his finals, and I have a senior at Haverford High School who is just finishing up AP exams and has just a couple more weeks before graduation, which is going to be mostly virtual, but there may be some in person. They're actually going to come and deliver his diploma here at our home. So we are trying to make the best of being in quarantine, and I'm really excited to have folks here for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. As you can tell, I have my pearls on to channel Julia Child today. I can't remember how many we've done. I think it's 6. It might be 7 of these. And so I'm always glad to have people come and hang out with me and cook with me. As you can also tell, my hair is getting really long. My sons have resorted to shaving their heads, so you may eventually see me do the same. I hope not, because I don't think it would look as good on me. But we're all making do with not being able to get to the beauty parlor or to the barber. So a couple of things. I wanted to just give you a heads up about some programs that are coming up this coming week, in the next week. Of course, this weekend is Memorial Day, and Monday the library is, well, we're closed, but we're actually closed. The library staff actually takes a day from doing programming, so we will not have our Kickin' Cooking next Monday, but we will have one on Monday, June 1st. So while you're cooking or hopefully doing something special for Memorial Day, you can think of me and think of all of us cooking in quarantine. I see that Cindy's here and Diane's here. Welcome. So glad to have you here for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. So Monday, we're actually, staff is taking some time off for the holiday. As you know, the building has been closed since March, but we will not be doing virtual programming on Monday. But that Wednesday, the 27th, we have a new program that will be done. It's going to be put on by myself and Jennifer Kuhns. She's another reference librarian. We're doing Herb Corner with Jen and Mary, and we're going to talk about how herbs can help our well-being as well as help us in the kitchen. And we may also give you some tips for gardening herbs. So be on the lookout for that. That is gonna that's a pre-recorded program. We will be releasing that at 3 o'clock on the 27th. So be on the lookout for Herb Corner with Jen and Mary. I don't know about you all, but I've had a little bit more time to actually garden. I think my garden is probably looking the best it has ever looked. I also have some great help from my son, who is also an avid gardener. But I've had a little bit of time. I've had time to cook, but I've also had some time to garden. And I do have some great herbs in many of my container gardens along on my back deck, which you may have seen last Monday when we were grilling out there. So we'll talk some more about herbs on the 27th. The other thing I just wanted to remind people is that we do have the Facebook page, which is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. It is, you just find it, do a search. It is a kind of a subset Facebook group of the library. You just ask to join and I will let you in. It is a great place to share recipes, share what you've been cooking, share your pictures, and also to ask for help as we are all negotiating shortages and things we can't find at the grocery store, or the reality is we're not going to the grocery store that often. So if you don't have an ingredient, you may very well not be scheduled to go for another week. So finding ways to get around things that you don't have for recipes. And we all know that we are cooking more than we were. I know some of us are trying to patronize our local businesses and restaurants. I know we are trying to at least once a week, just to keep those restaurants in business. Many of them are doing curbside, but it does mean that we're also doing a lot of cooking at home. So we all need to be inspired by one another. And the Facebook group, Kicking Cooking in Quarantine, is a good place to do that. I wanted to do a shout out because we've had quite a bit of traffic on the website, people sharing their recipes. And I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the things that were posted this week. Our library director, Sukrit Goswami, put 2 on there this week, chana masala. And I'm sorry, Sukrit, if I mispronounce this, Aloo Shima Mirch Sabji. So, and he's got all kind of the steps there on the Facebook page. Joel Piazza, put a jazzed up instant udon noodles with skirt steak and eggs with chili oil, which looked delicious. Cindy put on Irish nachos in honor of the Beach Creek restaurant in Wildwood. For those of you missing the beach, that looked really good. She also, along with Diane, posted their finished product of cassoulet. I did that a couple of weeks ago, and they looked amazing. I'd love to hear from them how it tasted and if their families liked it. It's such a nice hearty dish. Maybe not what you would think about for May, but again, we do it on the campfire when we go camping, and so everything just tastes better when you cook it over an open fire or you eat it outside. And we are going to talk about picnics and eating outside today when we talk about Memorial Day. So thank you for putting that on. Karen Hart put a Thai poached cod, which also looked delicious. And my colleague Jennifer Kuhns shared with you the picture of her 25-pound bag of chickpea flour, which she mistakenly purchased right at the beginning of the pandemic. She thought she was getting something a little less than that, but she has been working really hard to figure out what to do with all her chickpea flour. So if you have other recipes that you could share with Jennifer, I know she would appreciate it. She still has a very large bag. And she's trying to, I think she was trying to, because she was having a hard time finding real flour. Okay, so what's the substitute? And she saw the chickpea, but I don't think she realized she was ordering that much. And 25 pounds is an awful lot. So I also, Nikki Senecal, put on sauteed bok choy and mushrooms, which looked great. Valerie put on barbecue chicken tacos. So any of you that are out there that are listening now, you could also comment how they tasted, or any of your tricks for making these things. Amy Moskovitz, our reference manager, posted that she had a tofu scramble, which looked really good. I love tofu scramble. And Catherine Frederico did tequila lime chicken with pineapple mango salsa and cilantro lime rice. And then Jennifer Thompson did a sexy smoked turkey leg, which, looked delicious. So if you have a recipe for any of the dishes that you cook and you put on the website, please post it. My aunt, Jean from Richmond, Virginia, has joined the group. And I was talking to her the other day, and she was complaining that not everybody includes their recipes, and she starts to get her mouth watering, and then there's no recipe. So if you have one and you post a picture, if you can, it would be great for you to include a recipe so people can make your dishes. I myself have made a couple of things this last week that were brand new for me. The Mediterranean, a complete Mediterranean cookbook, I actually reviewed on my Reading with Reference, which I just love. It's by America's Test Kitchen. And I made orzo, shrimp, feta, and lemon I really liked it a lot. My sons were not crazy about how many Kalamata olives I put in it, so I might actually cut that. But that is a great recipe, a great cookbook. I liked it so much. We actually did it for Cookbook Club that I actually ordered it, and I've been cooking many of the recipes out of that cookbook. And they're really well tested because it's America's Test Kitchen. So that's the Complete Mediterranean Cookbook. I also did pork carnitas, which my family loves. We did that with tacos, and I made pico de gallo and guacamole. And I posted that on Kickin' Cooking. And then lastly, I made, we had Cookbook Club last week, and instead of actually doing a cookbook, since we don't actually have access to one that we can all share, we all did family favorites. And Carolyn Dash, who is a longtime member of the Cookbook Club, had this great recipe for pork egg roll in a bowl. And I made that just last night, and I posted the recipe, and that was really good. That's actually like an egg roll without the wrapper. So if you're trying to do low carb, that's kind of a good dish, and it was very filling and delicious. So anyway, that's the Facebook site. So please consider joining us and sharing your recipes. So today I wanted to talk, again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. This is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. I wanted to talk about Memorial Day because it is coming up, and many of us have things that we do for Memorial Day. We have traditions, we have foods that we cook. We usually, sometimes we have traditions in terms of who we get together. So what I'd like to hear, first of all, is, what do you normally do and what's going to change this year? Not only in terms of, getting together, are you going to Zoom with people or do Google Hangouts? But are there dishes that you normally cook that maybe you won't cook this year, or are you just going to do the same and just pretend that you have a house full of people, or you go to that cookout? So tell me what dishes are your favorites for Memorial Day? Are there dishes that you normally make that you kind of wait all year to make? Or are there dishes that you would just do in the summertime? I know we have lots of cookouts and gatherings during the summer, and often we bring a dish to things. Do you have a favorite? Do you have something that is you're known for? I know there are some gatherings that people kind of know me for some of my dishes because I kind of make the same ones because I love them so much. So I'd love to hear what you're cooking for Memorial Day. Also, let me see what else here. Personally, I make a blue cheese arugula salad that I actually got from my sister-in-law, Jill Shannon. She made it years ago, and I just loved it, and I got her recipe, and now I make it for all of our family gatherings. And I also make at least once or twice a summer. I make a lemon meringue pie because everyone loves lemon meringue pie in my house. We're not much of a birthday cake family. We tend to like pies. And then the other thing I have started to make is strawberry rhubarb pie. And I was going to put a call out for where I could find rhubarb, because I went to 2 places this weekend and could not find rhubarb. Found strawberries, but did not find rhubarb. And then my husband actually went to Young's here in Haverton, and I have to show you what he actually brought back. This is the rhubarb that he brought. It is huge. They look like baseball bats. I've never seen rhubarb this large. I will be making rhubarb pie for a long time. Multiple rhubarb pies, because I have never seen rhubarb this large. This should actually do me at least for 2 or 3 pies. So again, that was Young's. I could not find it at Giant. I could not find it at Produce Junction. But that is also one of my favorites. And my stepdad loves strawberry rhubarb pie. And so I try to make him one when he comes over for our celebrations. We have a birthday in June. So often we have them over, and I try to make that for him because I know he loves it. So, Jim, if you're watching, I'll try and get a pie to you all. They are in a retirement community, and they're locked up pretty tight, so I'm not sure if they're going to let me do that, but I will do my best. So those are some of the things that I make. I'd love to see in the comments some of the things that you make for Memorial Day. What I'm going to do today is I am actually going to show you one of my favorites that I make, and I usually bring it to cookouts because it has a really nice presentation, and I thought I would show you that recipe today. It's called a chicken pesto pasta salad. It has a lot of steps, so often I do things ahead of time and then kind of assemble everything before I go. And it's interesting. I got this recipe from one of those little booklets that you get in that you see in the checkout lines at grocery stores. They're usually little booklets that are put out by a food producer like Pillsbury or whatever. And it's funny, I was totally sold on the picture on the front. This was, over 25 years ago. And I bought the little booklet. The funny thing is, I don't even know where the little recipe booklet is now. I do it by, kind of do it by heart, but I did sit down and I wrote out the recipe, and I will share that on our Facebook page connected to this video. But it's just funny. It was one of those things that it was an impulse purchase. It looked good. I made it for some company who came to visit me in my apartment when I was newly married, and it's just been a staple ever since. So I wanted to show you that. So again, that's chicken pesto pasta salad. So anyway, again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon, and I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. And I am now going to take us over so I can start to show you how to make this recipe. So here we go. Okay. So here we are. And here is my kitchen counter. And I'm just going to start to show you all the different pieces to this recipe. What you really start out with is a big bowl. Now, I'll tell you this. I used to have this beautiful pasta bowl that was kind of low and kind of shallow and much wider than this. And I loved it. It was a really nice presentation. It held a lot of salad. And, pasta bowls were like really big in like the 90s. And I used it for years and years. And then it broke, and I just haven't been able to replace it. So I am just making do with this clear, fairly large clear bowl. But if I had my way, I'd have kind of a wider mouth and much more shallow pasta bowl to kind of show you, gives you more area for presentation. As I told you, this is this has a nice presentation. And so I do like to take it to cookout. So what I have in here are 2 bags of cheese tortellinis. I have cooked them and drained them. And I did that a little while ago. So that's all ready to go. That's 2 bags. They're 2 14-ounce bags of cheese tortellini. I did the tricolor. You can do regular. I just thought that was kind of a nice presentation. But once we get all the salad in here, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see all the color, but that's what I found, and that's what I'm using. So I'm going to dress this first, and I'm going to do the bottom part, and then I'm going to show you the different layers that go on top of this. So to these cooked cheese tortellini, I am going to add, this is mayonnaise and pesto sauce combined. And I'm actually, before I put this in here, I'm going to show you, I made pesto earlier today. I didn't use all of it, but I did use quite a bit of it. I made quite a large amount of pesto, so we've got some left over. I used this to grill the chicken, and then I used some of it to use for the dressing. But this calls for you to mix it up with mayonnaise as well. So it's kind of interesting. It has more of a creaminess than just straight pesto would have, and I really like the taste. So there's my pesto. And before we started, I actually mixed the mayonnaise and the pesto together. So I am actually gonna put this in. And we want to be kind of careful because we don't want to break up all the tortellini. So that's why I actually mixed the mayo and the pesto together before I put it in here, just so we have a little less stirring for this, because I don't want to break up the pasta. This is a half of a red onion, and I diced this pretty small, so I didn't want anybody to get a big piece of red onion. So this is diced really finely, and it's a half a red onion. So we're going to put that in as well. Let me just scrape this out. And the other thing we're going to put in here, I had grilled some chicken earlier. I did like 3 breasts. And I cut these into kind of smaller pieces. I have some longer strips that I'm going to use later to kind of decorate the top, but these are kind of like chunks of grilled chicken. I grilled these. I actually marinated them in pesto for a couple of hours and then just grilled them a little while ago. And so these are kind of the smaller pieces. I will show you the strips that I have for the top. So we're going to integrate these into the pasta. So, and I see that Val is here. And she said that before we go further, she said normally my family would take make hamburgers and hot dogs, nothing fancy, but my mom makes this onion sauce for the hot dogs, which makes for the start of the summer for me. So I would love that recipe, Val. That sounds really good. I'm a kind of an onion gal myself. So any other things that you all make, share with us. But anyway, we're back to our pasta. So again, I have the pasta, I have the mayo pesto sauce, I have the onions, and I have the chicken. And I am actually going to roll up my sleeves because this is going to take just some fairly large stirs here to integrate everything into this salad. I love chicken salad, in pretty much any form. This one I particularly like because I really like the garlickiness of my pesto and the bite of the red onion. Now, here's the thing about pesto, and I'd love to hear how people make their own pesto. I make my pesto with peanuts. And the reason I do is that years ago when I was really poor and in graduate school and then, starting out in my career, I didn't have money for pine nuts, and pine nuts are still really expensive. And so I used peanuts because it was a really cheap alternative. And the irony is that I still like it with peanuts. I actually, one day I was feeling, I guess, flush with cash, and I bought pinolas or pine nuts. And I really didn't like it as much as I liked my peanut pesto. So this is a peanut pesto. That's what I'm going to share on the Facebook page. You can certainly, you can actually use your own pesto recipe if you want. But I really like I like pesto with peanuts. Just to kind of go over what pesto is, it's basil. It's some kind of nuts. I've seen people use walnuts too. Parmesan, garlic, and I think I said basil. And then I put it in a food processor and then drizzle oil into it to get it integrated while you've got the food processor going. So anyway, so I have that pretty much stirred up now. And that's kind of the base of our salad. Okay. And now I'm going to go for my next layer, which is more chicken. So these are the strips that I did. As you can see, they're a little longer. I'm going to kind of put these in like a starburst pattern on the bowl, around the bowl, just for presentation. And again, these are my longer pieces. So I'm going to put those on now. And depending on how many you have, you just kind of evenly put them around. I kind of start like a cross, and then I kind of fill in between. And just go around until you're done, and then you just kind of fill in places till pretty much you have you know, chicken all around in like I said, in kind of a starburst pattern. So the next thing I do is these are Roma tomatoes, and I just slice them up. I think, you know, there's nothing like a summer tomato, but if you need one that's going to kind of taste like a tomato any other time of the year, I think Romas are the best way to go. And they also have a nice, you know, round shape for this particular recipe. So I start with just kind of putting them around the side here. And again, we're just kind of layering these. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're just going to go all the way around the edge first. And then often I put just a couple in the center here, maybe like 4. And then my next ingredient, and this is a very colorful salad. These are cut up yellow peppers, and I have actually kind of made them into little triangles, which is, you know, not terribly easy, but now I'm going to kind of place this around the edge as well. And I just line the edge, and with kind of the pointy part towards the center. Really, you can decorate this any way you want. This is just the way I do it, but it does kind of have a nice look to it at the end. I will also post a picture of this at the very, you know, when we're done here today, so you can actually see it a little bit better. I'm not sure how well you can see it on the video with me, you know, having my makeshift camera here in my kitchen. So and again, there's just kind of a nice contrast to the red and the yellow and the green to the pesto, and then the charredness of the chicken. So, and then I'm just kind of gonna put this as kind of a little starburst here at, let me just get a little bigger one here. See if I can get this together here. And here we are. If I can get this to stay. Okay, so that is my salad, chicken pesto pasta salad. Again, it's a nice presentation to take with you to a cookout. When we're ever going to have a cookout again, I don't know, but I am going to serve this to my family tonight, and they love this recipe, so I know they're going to be excited. So let's move back over here. So again, I am going to post the picture and the recipe. Like I said, it was one of those things that was in a booklet that I no longer know where the booklet is. So I really do it by memory and by heart. But I would love to. So I did my best to get it down, it written down. So and if you cook it, let me know and post yours as well. So I think that's it for today. Again, we will not be here tomorrow, next Monday, because that is Memorial Day. But we will be here on June 1st. Also be on the lookout for Herb Corner with Jen and Mary on the 27th. The other thing that we would love to have you a part of is our quarantine coffee house, which is every Friday at 12:30. And we do have the opportunity, if you would like to perform You could read poetry, you could sing a song, you could play an instrument. We would love to have you at Quarantine Coffee House. That is every Friday at 12:30. Rita says it looks beautiful, and I'm sure it must be delish. Thank you for sharing. And Val said very pretty. Yeah, it is. It is a nice looking salad. And again, it's kind of a nice nice thing to bring to a cookout for your friends. But again, I know most of us are not going to be with our friends and family this Memorial Day. And just know that, you know, this too shall pass. It may take a while, but I know we will all be able to gather again someday. So try to make the best of the day, and just hold on to those folks that you have in your household, and make sure you connect with those folks that you can't be with physically. You know, social distancing doesn't mean that we have to be alone and apart. And anyway, I hope you all have a great Memorial Day, and we'll see you later. Thanks for coming.